Cities are louder than ever, and it's the poor who suffer most. Cities The Guardian. We use cookies to improve your experience on our site and to show you personalized advertising. To find out more, read our end. The wider issue is one facing cities across the globe: how do you deal with the noise of densification? To that, by 2050, 2/3 of people will live in cities. India is projected, and as cities swell, there are signs we are finding it harder to cope with the noise. In Britain, it is the poor who face the biggest din. In the US, noise isn't only an irritation. Recent studies, the social housing on Mint Street comes with built-in noise control, but elsewhere silence is a premium commodity. If you live in New York, otherwise, the approach to combating noise is often to build thicker walls. In the UK, in terms of health effects, this is particularly significant at night when residents are effectively left with a choice of being uncomfortably hot or having their sleep disturbed by noise, says Dr. Anthony Chilton, senior partner at the environmental engineering firm Max Fordham. One solution would be to run air conditioning and keep the windows shut. But apart from undermining the environmental purpose of thicker insulation, this also introduces scope for social division. Do you pay for cools? If you do manage to block the sounds of the city, there's the risk you make things too quiet, too uncomfortably silent. Michael Jones, tailored to the frequency of the human voice, this barely audible whoosh masks background conversations. You don't conscious. When the software company Autodesk temporarily turned off the pink noise systems in its offices in Waltham, Massachusetts. Harbour, who built a similar noise system into his designs for it in London's Stratford City, describes it as like engineering a race car, starting with a design that is underweight, then calculatedly adding weight little by little. If you cut the sound, Constellation has been described by as the sonic equivalent of Photoshop. Instead of pumping, you can hear the clinking of glasses and the kitchen noise, and using the system, we can zone that over your table, says Helen Meyer, who founded Meyer Sound with her husband. That means you can act. As the technology becomes more accessible, I believe the next step will be to experiment with residential buildings, adds her husband, John. You could create whole. Being able to digitally edit the sound of your home to have the acoustic properties of a forest might be the future, but Constellation systems currently cost from hundreds of thousands of pounds to upwards of £2M. For the vast majority. Ultimately, though, sound can be a sign of life, from the chitter of children to the muffled voices from a neighbor's TV. A clang and a clap. Follow Guardian Cities on, and to join the discussion, catch up on or sign up for our
Raindrops, drop top, top